On this episode, we're reviewing the Australian Grand Prix. Can Ferrari be stopped? Plus, Williams scores using an interesting strategy. George gets a podium, and we ask what's more useless than Lance Stroll's mirrors. The singer Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Unless we're talking about Max's 2 out of 3 DNFs, this is the Track Limits Podcast.
That was a long intro there.
I went for it today.
I can tell you wrote it.
I really went for it today. Hello, good day, and welcome to the Track Limits Podcast. My name is Taylor. I'm joined here, as always, by my friend Harrison to talk Formula One. I'm excited about this one, Harrison. I told you I'm excited about it.
I could tell in your voice there.
That's nice. I'm really feeling this episode because we got some great things to talk about. Was it the most exciting race? But I think there's still some things we can talk about from qualifying and the race itself. I'd like to start out. We're going to have new segments. We got a special ending, not really a game, but a nice little thing I've got planned.
Okay, I'm excited. I don't know about it.
I was going to call it the Fast Five, but that's a movie. So instead, we're going to call it the Final Five, which, as far as I know, isn't
copyright.
Which, as far as I know, is not copywritten by the NCAA. But let's start out with our first segment, which we'll call the Formation Lap. Harrison, your thoughts?
Look at you with themes.
I know. Look at this. It's all
my thoughts on
themed.
My thoughts on the Formation Lap.
Not on the Formation Lap, but the Formation Lap is where you formulate your thoughts for the rest of the show.
Oh, okay. I have some points that are my thoughts that I've written down.
Okay.
Also, not a fan of the 1 a.m. start. Can do the 7 a.m. I didn't watch practice live or qualifying live, but I did do what I said for the qualifying and woke up at like 6:37 and watched it without having checked my phone. Had no idea what happened. So it was like it was live, but it wasn't. And then I did actually stay up and watch the race. That's a lie. I fell asleep we had a wedding Saturday night to go to, and then I came home and I fell asleep about 11. And then by some miracle of magic, our dog woke up at 1 o'clock on the dot. And so I was able to, we sleep with the TV on, or fall asleep with the TV on. So I switched it over real quick and then just stayed up and watched the race.
Do you leave the TV on all night, or do you set the timer?
No, I listen, we don't got that technology in our house. I'm just kidding. We do.
I just don't say TV time has been around since the 80s.
I just wake up. We fall asleep to it on, and then we just wake up and turn it off when we wake up. But yeah, so got to watch it live. Was miserable the next day. Couldn't go back to sleep after 3 a.m. when it finished. But here are my topics. Here, Red Bull. This is literally just what I wrote down.
That's fine.
We'll go off. Red Bull, Sainz, Stroll and Aston Martin, McLaren and Lando, Mercedes, Leclerc, overheating, passing, Alex Albon, and Haas.
Wow, we're going.
Now, if you watched the race, all of those made sense.
Yes,
but if you didn't, we'll get to them in a little bit.
Fantastic. I'd like to start out by saying congratulations to Ferrari for absolutely destroying the field. Still,
they were quite quick, and it kind of one thing that I noticed is that, a lot of people notice, is that they kind of proved that the porpoising wasn't Mercedes's issue for why they were slow, because Ferrari had some bad porpoising going on as well.
Good point.
And we're still a second faster than Mercedes.
Good point. But Charles Leclerc, way ahead, 46 points ahead of Max. I want to get to a story that I think was in a Danish newspaper. I'll write that down to talk about in a little bit, but I don't want to take away from Ferrari. But let's talk about Sainz, because Sainz, with some bad luck with a wheel swap that he said, a steering wheel swap with the incorrect settings, which is didn't terrible start and then never really went anywhere.
To go back to your point earlier, I like how you said he was 47 points clear of Max, who is in 7th in the Constructors Championship.
Well, the reigning world champ, I should
say. Yeah. Anyways, back to Carlos. Carlos had a really bad weekend for being in the best car. He's not had I want to say he's not had a great season, but he's been on the podium. He's been doing decent. However,
Mhm.
terrible weekend. Bad in qualifying. Got out of sync. Got some bad luck with the red flag. I'll give him that. I mean, if he'd have been a second faster on the lap, he wouldn't have had bad luck.
Mhm.
You could look at it that way. But then just gets put to the back, gets a terrible start, and then it was like he just said, "I don't want to race anymore. I'm just gonna cut the corner and wreck and spin, and then get trapped in the gravel."
But he's supposed to do that in Monaco, where you can just walk back to the yacht.
Or he just walks. Well, he doesn't. I don't think he lives in Monaco. I was gonna say he walks
No, I
back
was gonna
home.
say,
Yeah, pulls a Kimmy and walks to the yacht. Yeah, I don't know. It was. I think after and he had to know he wasn't going to do much, but I think he still could have done well, even with the bad start,
Mhm.
and then just lost. I mean, he did. In his defense, he didn't quit. He said, "Can they push me out of the gravel?" Which they can't.
And then Martin Brundle
So
said, "Up, you see, he pressed the gas, and now he's dug
now he's
himself
stuck.
in. He's
Now he's
stuck.
stuck.
What a
Yeah,
moron!"
very, very
Pretty sure he
observant.
said that. I think he said that. Yeah, oh, you see that? How his wheels are spinning?
When it's like the Will Buxton memes going around. When you dig yourself in the ground, hey, he's made the most of it. I'll say
Yes,
on
he
a complete
has.
side
Yes, he
note,
has.
there at the people I like. There was one he retweeted a picture that was like
The
it was like
sign.
the fake quote where it was like, see, if you finish first, you win the race or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was pretty. I thought that was pretty good.
it was a play on his Drive to
His
Survive
Drive to
quote
Survive
of
commentary, which he's
start
whatever.
first. You
He's
got
got to say that
19
stuff.
cars behind you.
Yeah. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, man.
Anyways, back to
Um,
Carlos. Yeah, terrible weekend. Terrible
yeah,
weekend for him.
terrible. But you know who didn't have a terrible weekend was our good friend Sergio Perez.
Kept it alive for Red Bull.
Absolutely.
Proved that Red Bull was still faster than Mercedes.
It's okay if I segue into Red Bull here for a minute
Yeah, Red Bull
because
is my number one topic.
okay, good. There was an article today where Max basically said that he doesn't think he can. The season's basically over for him, even though there's 20 races left. He'd need like 45 or 46 races to get back because of his two out of three DNFs. But you know, the third one he
if he
actually
doesn't
won the
finish a
race.
race.
Yeah. So
First,
I
if
guess,
you ain't first, you're last, I guess.
but there was talk in this article regarding that they had said before the race that they were worried that they wouldn't even be able to finish the race, which explains Checo saying near the end of the race over the radio what happened to Max. Thought of it being a reliability issue yet again that could affect his car. But I'm going to just pose this question to you, Harrison. Wait, you know, we're not even close to a fraction of the way through the season. So is there season toast, Red Bulls?
Good topping point there.
Yeah.
That's a good first take question there, and I'll let you argue that it is.
Is there season toast, Harrison?
Well, yes, it is. No, it's not, and everybody knows it's not. I mean, he could win half the races, and I mean, Charles would win the other half if he DNF'd the other half. But I mean, I don't think their season's over. I think they'll be back as long as they can get the reliability there. They just need to get some wins. I mean, it's the third race of the season. We don't need to overreact here. But yeah, I'm surprised by their lack of I don't want to keep saying reliability, but their lack of it. I mean, I think you said last week that you thought that would be the main talking point after the weekend was over. And in some ways it is because, I mean, you don't expect arguably the best driver, best team to DNF twice in 3 races because of an engine. That the team just started building on their own. You almost have come not to expect bad things like that from Red Bull. So yeah, it's pretty shocking, but their season's definitely not over. And Sergio still finished second, so for Red Bull as a team, I think it's okay.
Okay, let me read. Is Max's season over?
No, he's good enough to come back. He's good enough to win races and stuff. Inevitably, something will happen to Charles Leclerc. He'll make a silly mistake or something. You know, Monaco incident.
Don't call it a comeback.
It's not over. So he's still got 20 races to go. It's not like he can't come back and win some races.
What else do you want to talk about Red Bull? Because he had it as your number one.
Oh, the fact that they can't finish races. That was it.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
that,
Well,
you
okay.
you know what's going on at Red Bull, and then you got Christian Horner coming out and say he'd rather fix the reliability on a fast car than make a slow reliable car fast. But
Has, has Max lost?
you'd almost take a slow car that can finish a race and score points than a fast car that's not going to finish.
Has Max lost all confidence in the car?
No. Where are you getting these questions from?
Hey,
ESPN?
I'm just throwing them out there. I want, you know. Okay,
Nah,
can I
think
move
he'll
to
be
Aston
back.
Martin real quick?
Yeah, it's going to be a while for there, but go for it.
What
We're going
now?
to be on this topic for a while.
On Aston Martin?
Yes.
Okay, so Aston Martin scored points. They were penalty points for Lance Stroll. I think he got 3 over the weekend. Basically, he's got 8 now. My question to you is, why is this all Sebastian Vettel's fault?
Well, you see, if he wasn't pushing Lance Stroll so hard, Lance wouldn't have to try as much and overcompensate for his inability to drive the car. And so, if Sebastian Vettel would just take his foot off the gas a little bit and just say, "Hey, Lance, you don't have to try so hard to beat me," I think they would be fine.
This is. I'm just going to let you, take the reins on this one. Fly away, little birdie.
All right, we'll start with Sebastian Vettel.
Okay.
He wrecked twice this weekend.
He was sick.
I'm not saying anything about Sebastian Vettel.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a 4-time world champion in a car and they wreck twice in a weekend, at what point do you say
you're saying it's a car problem?
It's probably not the driver.
Yeah.
Now, the wreck in the race, I think 100% his fault. But I think the wreck in practice was a car issue. Wreck in the race, he just made a mistake. So, there's point A. You can't even give the guy a car that can't wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Point B, they were so slow. No matter what they did, they're not. They're just so bad. Then the qualifying incident with Latifi.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world is Lance Stroll doing? He literally says, and then he comes out and says, "Oh, well, I don't know what he was doing. The track kind of falls away to the right there, so there wasn't a lot of room.
A lot of comparisons,
acres of space to the left if he just stayed left.
A lot of comparisons to the AI in like Gran Turismo 7. For those of you who don't know that game, where it's literally the cars are on rails in video game language, so they don't move; they just follow a defined path the entire time. It's very annoying. That's basically all Lance Stroll does.
Yeah, he just was driving the racing line, and then he's going to say, "Oh, I just didn't expect the car to be there. It was kind of weird that he would pass me back there." And it's like, I mean, okay, but I don't expect to get struck by lightning when I walk outside during a thunderstorm, but I take precautions against it by not doing it. So even when you don't expect something to happen, you still prepare for it. So you should still know what's going on around you. When you drive down the interstate, you don't just look what's in front of you, do you? You have to know what's beside you and behind you if you're a decent driver. So, the fact that he said, "I just didn't expect it." And it's like, okay, buddy. And then he got the points from turning in. Was it the last race where he turned in? Now people are starting to decide that things are his fault. So we're going to go back to, you sent me the thing about all the clips of him, cutting people off.
14 different incidents.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second. Maybe it's actually Lance Stroll's fault on this one. So at a certain point, I think he just needs to be like, "Hey, some of these were my fault."
I mean, he doesn't drive like somebody who's been a driver for 6 years.
I know.
I honestly can't even believe that when I had no. You don't even think that he's been there for 6 years.
Yeah, and he's been on the podium. He's been on the pole. And then in the race, he ran the racing line and ran Valtteri off the road, and they didn't give him a penalty for that. And it's just like,
because Valtteri's everybody's punching bag.
What's going on here? They'd already given him a penalty in the race, a 5-second time penalty. So I guess they just didn't want to compound it, but still, come on, Lance. That's enough about Lance Stroll. I can't keep going. I'll have an aneurysm. But then even more, now you got people complaining about the Aston Martin safety car, saying it's too slow, that the Mercedes performs better, that they would prefer the Mercedes safety car over the Aston Martin. Multiple people come out and say, oh, I think Charles said it's 5 seconds faster.
Yeah.
Max said that it's way too slow and it's killing their tire temps. So, I mean, Aston Martin just,
I need
I
a
don't
new
know.
I need a new topic for my not fast five, final five questions because you stole mine.
No. You didn't have to say that. You could have just let it come up.
No, because the laughs are gone. The laughs are gone.
No. It'll come back. People will forget about it by the end of the episode. Yeah. I saw this thing today. I think it's on Reddit. I don't know, or Twitter, and it was like the thing about Lawrence Stroll and a video of him saying, I don't often speak public often, but I felt like I had to, and it was like about how bad they are. Oh, that's really good. If I could find a tweet, I would retweet it, but I thought it was a perfect timing. On our Twitter. Yeah, be watching for that. I'll have to search for it though.
All right. What do you want to talk about next? You got the rest of the list. We've hit my main points, which I thought were very good.
All right, I'll hit some quick hitters. Let you say something. Charles Leclerc is amazing.
Obviously.
Okay. That was
that was
Mercedes somehow second in the points.
Hey, good finish from them. Third and fourth.
Yeah. Still a second slower than Ferrari.
Constructor champion of the day.
You know, for being so bad somehow. And then I want to talk about what. Oh, go ahead.
I was to say with Mercedes while we stay on that. Bad luck Lewis this season, right?
He kind of got the team kind of put him in a. He's even said the team put him in a tough spot, which it wasn't anybody's fault that with the red flag, or not the safety car.
Red flag. Yeah.
With the safety car and that 1 a.m. starts getting to me. But yeah, I mean,
still
what can he expect? Were they supposed to be like, actually, George, we need you to give the spot back to Lewis just because you got some good luck. We need to take that on away from you.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's part of it, and they'll be fine.
That's what happens when you take the yellow camera post.
True, you become the second driver.
Oh, man. I mean, everyone's seen Toy Story. I mean, it's a very similar Buzz Lightyear Woody scenario.
I think it is. Okay. Anyways, moving on.
Next. Yeah. What's on? What do you got?
Before we get a Pixar strike. The Mercedes, what might be Mercedes' biggest competition looking like now after one race, overreaction Monday. McLaren back on form? ? If you ask Lando Norris, no. He still I think it's hilarious that they have a really good race, and in the interviews he's still like, if we went back to Bahrain, we'd still be last. So a lot of people not getting their hopes too high, but it was nice to see them in Q3 in the top 10 the whole race. There was a couple times where they could have been a little bit lower. I felt like Ricardo's pace was better than Lando's. I know he finished behind. There was one time where at the beginning of the race, right, they were in 5th and 6th, I think, maybe 7th and 8th, and George was in front of them. And there was multiple times I felt like, hey, Lando should be making this pass on this Mercedes. And I was thinking the whole time, I think they give him a couple more laps and they swap positions and see if Daniel can do it. And if he can't, then they'll swap back. They never did that. Then they fell, 4 or 5 seconds off the pace of Mercedes. But it was nice to finally see them competing a little bit, having some pace, not being in the last, able to, I don't think they actually passed any cars the whole race, but being able to score points and looking like the team of old. The team we expected to see, I think.
I agree.
So you don't have anything to add?
I have nothing to add to that. Yes. No, I think that I mean, you got to think of Carlos was out, Max was out. I'm going to put an asterisk next to this.
Well, I mean, they beat Carlos on merit. I don't know that he would have come back through the field and beaten them. He just had. I mean, I get he had a bad qualifying. If he would have been up there, they wouldn't have passed him. No, but yeah, Max being out puts them at 5th and 6th. But yeah, it was nice. And then next step from that is another point I have on here is these new cars struggled with passing this weekend. Everybody was like 4 DRS zones. No way that's going to be so crazy.
Moved down to 3.
I think I saw 6 passes. It was almost like there was a point where Lance Stroll had a line of 5 cars behind him to the point where Alonso was on his radio saying, "Why isn't Gasly passing him?" Who was 3 cars back, and Gasly should have been passed. It took him so long just because they couldn't get close enough to pass. They were overheating. I don't know why they couldn't get the speed. The DRS really wasn't doing anything. George was outrunning the McLarens on just pure pace alone with them having DRS. So it just seemed like they weren't able to pass in the places they should have been able to pass, which I thought was strange compared to last race we saw get past, come back and pass them back. In this race we saw get up to him and then just stay there. Back to the racing of old. All right, cool.
no, I'm kidding. I did. I'm not. I'm.
Oh, you don't have. You do.
I do have an opinion. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It was a joke. Yeah, I did notice that a little bit with the passing, which was weird because it wasn't a problem in the other 2 races. I mean, all the drivers were talking about how
fun it was,
and you could pass. And interesting, the decision on the 4 DRS zones going down to 3. Red Bull being very unhappy about that, but it didn't change anything. It was a safety thing, I think.
I think they should have kept it at 4 after watching the race. You know,
yeah,
maybe there would have been some more
I was
racing.
Surprised there wasn't as many. Overtaking.
Sorry, yes, us Americans.
Pass.
Another person who couldn't pass cars, Haas.
Yeah,
that $1 million hit took a lot out of them. That wreck,
they hadn't eaten that bad shrimp or whatever.
It's almost just like we expect them to be at the bottom, so them being at the bottom wasn't like, oh, what's wrong with Haas?
Yeah,
it was almost like the last 2 weeks were the fluke of them being good. But you want to see them turn around. It was just like, oh, all right, back to the old ways.
So anyway,
yeah. And then my last point, Alex Albon, 57 laps on a set of tires, and he finishes 10th. I almost wonder if they could have pit him under a safety car and they kept him up there, but who knows?
I watched this. I knew the results going into the race because I watched it. I wasn't getting up at 1 a.m. So I watched the re-air of it, which has commercials, ESPN, regardless.
Was it like commercials where they paused the race and
they paused the race and they came on the screen and said, "You're watching this sponsored by Mother's Polish. You will not miss any of the action. We're pausing for this commercial break." And then it went back and it just caught back in.
We just had to pay for all the people we fired. Anyways, continue.
Anyway, I just
watched the race after knowing the results.
Yes, I watched the race after knowing the results and saw Alex Albon got the points. And it's amazing knowing that how as it kept going, thinking, when's he going to pit? What's happening?
Yeah, I thought he had pit in the graphic.
Yeah, and they were wrong. They were all wrong. They didn't see him pit.
And it was like, oh, here's the last lap, and he has to pit.
No, he really didn't. And then they came to the last lap, and it's funny listening back, and they're like, "There's no way he finished on the points now." Absolutely terrible from them. And then he did, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great."
Yeah, interesting conversation. Interesting conversation I saw on Twitter. People were asking about the rules, which I thought was pretty insightful. Of had he just waited to the last pit and his pit box was before, the question was posed: if it came to the end, the last lap, and the Williams pit box wasn't, the
Was
last one on the
past
pit
the
road
finish line.
was before the start finish line.
Before, I see.
And he pit and put on the soft tires and then crossed the finish line and didn't lose hardly any spaces because he had to go back out. Would it have counted? And then somebody said it doesn't, because the rule states that they have to leave the pit lane on a second set of tires. So that's why he had to pit, come out, and go do a lap for it to count instead of just pit. And I thought that was, that was when the F1 Twitter was actually a good place.
Actual good
It
discussion.
was very insightful and very informative, I thought.
And then
And a good thought.
It was good. They're having a good conversation. And then for some reason started tweeting about Lance Stroll again. I was very completely derailed it.
The Lance hate.
Completely derailed it. Anyway, good for them. I know they needed that. They've got a banner outside their headquarters I saw talking about getting that point, which is now funny that Aston Martin's the only one to have not gotten a point yet.
No, we're three races in, only one team, and they don't show signs of scoring one. Hey, do you want to take bets on does Lance Stroll have a drive next year?
I'm gonna say I don't know. I don't think
the only
Latifi
way
has
he
a drive next year.
Well, yeah, he shouldn't. The only way I see Lance Stroll losing his seat is if Lawrence Stroll sells the team.
Yeah.
Which I could see happening if they don't do well and he's just losing money. He'll have to speak publicly again.
Oh, and you hate doing that.
True.
I hate doing that. I mean, he's got to take after Jerry Jones. Just, own the team and go out there and speak all the time and let the world know. Maybe he does.
It's Jerry's world.
He builds a nice stadium, though. There you go. I want to say real quick, this is a production note for Formula One races, and that is the TV direction is absolutely terrible. And I get it, because Formula One, since it's an international broadcast, Formula One does the TV direction, and then you've got the people just commentating on it. It's like Crofty, and then you have, all the other foreign languages and F1 TV or whatever else commenting on the feed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing they do for the World Cup, for the Olympics, everything. Way too many replays, and they're replays of things that don't matter. Look at this. Someone drove in the grass. I mean, 2 tires went in the grass. I do that daily on my PlayStation. And they don't stop the race and replay.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a time and place for replays, and I don't mind them if they're placed right, but it's like it's like the Lance Stroll thing last year, like 2 people racing side by side. Let's cut to if they cut to the meaningless replay when nothing's going on,
well,
sure, there's a close call, but not in the middle of a race. And
the excuse for that was, well, it's because Monaco has their own TV crew that they say everyone has to use, and then blah blah blah, it's not going to happen again. But then that's all it's happened the last 3 races, and you can hear it in Crofty's voice too when he's ticked off, like, here they go passing, and here's a replay of, looks like Lando got in the grass there.
It's like, oh no, not a replay. We need to know what
has
happened.
Overtaken the other.
Well, let me ask this: are you a fan of F1 controlling all of the TV? Of only having one world feed and everybody gets to see the same thing?
I mean, they have to. They have to.
Not necessarily. You could have multiple TV crews there.
It's very, from a TV
logistically
standpoint, it's very difficult.
Yeah, logistically, it'd be terrible. I'm a fan of everybody seeing the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree. I think
here's what I'm saying. Would you rather everybody has access to the cameras and just has their own production crew of cut to camera 1, cut to camera 4, show this replay, show that replay, or the way it works now of we're just gonna show you the whole feed?
It would have to be shown the whole feed, because it's just the production cost with that would not. And Sky Sports is different because they still have, they get the feed from Formula One, and they still are able to cut because they cut to Sky Race Control and other things.
I just mean like cut to just their feed of the Formula One stuff without having to show the feed.
Uh,
Their own
I don't know. I
feed,
just
but
think
with
that's cost prohibitive.
F1 cameras.
I don't know. Formula One doesn't want to give up that control.
Oh,
But it's so
I don't
different
doubt 'em.
from like when you're watching, soccer or an Olympics where you see a run, like in the Winter Olympics, a run down the ski or whatever, and you can show the replay right after. I guess because it's so fast paced. I just wish it would be, maybe it needs a little NASCAR tweak of a picture in picture kind of thing.
Listen, NASCAR is innovative, if anything.
Mm-hmm. And they start
Hey, when Netflix gets the rights, we'll see.
There was one moment where the radio sound played near the end of the race, and everybody got quiet.
Yeah,
and everyone got quiet, and then there was no radio, and they were
It's
quiet for a good 15 seconds.
it's
And
like,
I was sitting here, and it's like, oh, it's the turn it up from NASCAR. They're starting here.
listening. Yeah, that's the other awkward thing that they have to deal with. Like the NASCAR broadcast knows what's about to happen,
Yeah.
but then in Formula One, they got to be like, all right, take us through this lap. And at any point during that lap, it could just cut to something unrelated.
It could just cut to. I mean, you heard it from. I mean, Ted was interrupted almost every single time. It's like, oh, you got a replay. Oh, radio.
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
2 seconds, Ted. Anyway, poor Ted. Poor Ted. And congratulations to Ted for whatever diseases he got from doing a shoey from that random fans.
Thanks, Theodore.
From that Aussie peer pressure.
Hey, he probably loved every second of it.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, that's something you remember forever. Cool. Anything else?
Nah, I went through my list.
Fantastic. It's now time for our brand new segment I'm calling The Final Five, where I ask Harrison the final 5 questions.
Is this paper toss thing something new as well?
Well, no, because I didn't have time to type anything. So, but hey, it's working. You like it?
Yeah,
Cool.
I like it.
Well, I'll do it more often.
It's a good transition.
Wonderful. All right. I'm just going to ask you 5 questions. One of them you've already answered. You just try to answer as quickly as possible.
As
ready?
Quickly as possible?
Yes. Are you ready? Okay, get yourself a drink of water.
Ready.
All right. Question 1. The FIA introduced a new rule where there will be no jewelry, including piercings. Thoughts, and where would you get a piercing?
Silly, but smart, and nowhere.
No, if you had to get one, if it was required.
So probably just my ear.
That'd be nice. Like just kind of one, like the feather kind of thing.
Yeah, I get why they made that rule though. I mean, it is a safety thing. I mean, it is silly, but it is a safety thing.
This isn't really I was going for speed on this, folks, but this is more the Aston Martin 5. Okay, Seb was fined for riding a scooter on the track. Is his career over?
No.
Okay. Drivers say the Aston Martin safety car can't keep up. Could things get worse for them?
Yes. Oh, the
elaboration is great. Okay,
I was going to say yes. Their factory can burn to the ground. Their factory can burn to the ground.
Okay,
they could have a plane crash.
Who gets a penalty point suspension first, Yuki or Lance, and why? They're tied today.
That's a good question. Lance, because there's more scrutiny on him right now.
And last one, fill in the blank. Valtteri Bottas was blank on the start.
Terrible.
We'll accept that answer.
I don't even have to know what his start was like. I just know.
All right. Folks, if you
segment. I like that segment.
I'm going to keep doing that. If anybody has any funny things to send us, you can do so at Track Limits Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us tracklimitspod@gmail.com. Lando Norris was mentioned in this episode, and please leave me your mean comments for the Stewards. Harrison, any last closing thoughts?
Can't wait for 2 weeks to be in Italy, and then we go to Miami, and then we got a few more weeks till Spain.
Absolutely. Enjoy your week off and the holiday. Happy Easter. Be sure to check out our bonus episode where we talk about anything. We're going to have our normal guests on again. Until then, thanks for listening. Bye.
Goodbye.